not to mandate anything in particular.
Was the PUD involved early on in the grant aspect of it?
I don't know if they were one of the grant writers. It was, I don't remember that, but I know that they were involved in the analysis because absolutely they have got a lot to say about their energy and their systems. Other utility purveyors, water districts, city departments, building departments, architects, engineers, contractors, remodelers, and then the BIA itself took a position on kind of the overall project. This is just one little piece of the overall project. There's other facets to it.
Molly?
Well, there is currently, on the resolution that was signed, a 30-day opt-out if we would choose. Is there not?
Yes,
Isn't it a
there is.
30-day
Correct.
opt-out? So should we see, mandates, I mean, I don't think they're coming down the pike, but I can understand your concern about that, because I have seen things happen that way. So if we actually saw mandates coming down the pike, we could actually rescind our agreement with those.
Right. If mandates were to start to become discussed, it would either be legislatively, at the State House, where an advocacy group would be able to convince some sponsors to drop a bill that would require, say, for example, compliance to a certain level with this particular standard, or one of the many competing standards that are out there. Or it would be advocacy in rulemaking to the state building code, which is a rule. It's a WAC. And then there's a building code council. Much more stakeholder kind of driven process, rulemaking process, where the regulated industry is pretty active and effective in helping to shape building code policy. Certainly they are legislatively as well. The Association of Cities, generally speaking, takes a position of not supporting unfunded mandates if there was some sense that if they mandated something had to happen and then it required us to somehow attest to it. I would expect that Washougal and the AWC probably have concerns with it, but I'm only saying that in speculation, that there's not aware of anything specifically in those areas, but things can happen.
Rod?
Basically, you answered my question. I was going to ask if AWC had been involved in this, but did they take a stance in promoting it, encouraging it?
I don't recall if we engaged the AWC specifically in this, because it was a specific grant. It wasn't a legislative issue. If we weren't seeking to change the state building code. It was to do some work that we could share with others about barriers in the code, trying to make the code more flexible. Really, it was really a regulatory reform, or seeking to reduce regulations so that more options would be available to folks, because the customers were demanding it, is where it went.
Well, I appreciate what you said too, though, about that AWC would be watching Olympia for those unfunded mandates that all of a sudden would start coming down the pipe. So that's the other watchdog that would be watching for that kind of thing.
Right.
So,
I think, I'm sorry, should I say this?
Let's give, I want to give you the wrap up.
Oh,
Okay,
sure.
that's all right, just because I want to make sure that I get everyone out of here by 7:30 tonight.
All right.
So, go ahead.
All right, I wanted to just mention the thing, thank you very much for the explanation and rehashing this once again. I kind of appreciate that. As far as regulated industries being a watchdog over their own industry, I would caution everybody to think in terms of the difference between Walmart and your mom and pop grocery store. The difference between those two as a watchdog is the mom and pop grocery store can't really effectively throw their weight around in Olympia or DC, whereas Walmart can, and they do. And when Walmart advocates for something that seems like it regulates or limits what their industry can do, there's always a benefit to them in their relative to their competition. There is a possibility, And this may be minor as far as on everybody else's radar screen, but there's a possibility that your ma and pa builders are going to be edged out of the industry if this becomes more and more prominent versus big corporations which have armies of lawyers who can hammer out exactly what each part means and do the research. Having said that, I also think that in reading through their own literature, the National Green Building Standards is a lot more, addresses a lot more of other issues rather than the actual codes themselves. From my understanding, it's actually completely a different thing compared, I mean, they might have a little bit that's about the codes, but according to their own introduction and their own information on their website, it's all about everything else, including the maximum size of a house, which they recommend is 4,000 feet and so on and so forth, 4,000 square feet. At any rate, yeah, I appreciate the discussion, and thank you very much for that.
Anything else before we move on? Okay, we'll go to updates and discussion items. As you know, the mayor's out of town today. Do you need to leave, John?
Yes, please.
Yes, you're excused. You gotta stay. All right, is out of town. The strategic planning session, the venue has changed for Camas Washougal.
Correct.
What's the time?
9 AM. We're scheduled through 4, but, we'll see if the council needs that long.
Will we be receiving an agenda ahead of time?
Yes, we'll get you agendas and materials hopefully Thursday afternoon or so.
And this is this coming Saturday.
That's this
right?
Saturday, correct. And the port's been gracious to let us have their facility. We thought it would be nice to just get a little bit of a change of venue, from where you work in your routine.
And nice
Can we-
view.
Can we order out from the Puffin?
Camas Washougal offices in
We
your
want you
meeting.
coming back in the afternoon.
And,
Okay.
we'll have, break and lunch service provided.
And you said 9 o'clock, right?
9 o'clock, right. We'll get down there a little earlier than that, get it all set up. And again, we'll have Bob Knight and Shonda, is that how she says her first name? Shonda. Dial or Deal, not sure how to pronounce her last name, who helped with facilitation at the last retreat, have also graciously offered their time to us from Clark College this Saturday, so they'll be there as well. And we'll have department heads, and it's open to the public, as you know.
Just real quick, only thing I have from my end, Trevor, where are we on getting any kind of language on stormwater reductions and exemptions? I would like for us to start moving forward on that.
Okay, I'm in the process of working with FCS Group on a rescope for their rate analysis. Obviously, we're underway for water sewer, had the implementation January 1, 2010. Looking at stormwater as well, we've got a 1-year baseline since we've actually formed the utility, and having FCS Group assist us in going through that rate analysis specifically for the storm utility. As a part of that scope and task and deliverables would be potential further discounts and specific industry, commercial, case by case. So that would come